All right, welcome back. This is Newslink right here on eNCA. Now, in celebration of Women's Month, the National Movement of Rural Women is reflecting and focusing on the efforts of rural women to attain socio-economic freedom. In line with the national government's Women's Day theme titled Accelerating Socio-Economic Opportunities for Women's Empowerment, the movement's daily mission is to improve the quality of lives for its constituents. Now, joining me to talk more about the movement is Lebohang Mafisa, the spokesperson for the National Movement of Rural Women. Lebohang, thank you for your time. Happy Women's Month, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Happy Women's Month to you too and the viewers.
It's good to have you in studio. Thank you so much for your time. But your work is doing such an important work in line with empowering rural women. I often wonder if this is a group of women that are either often forgotten, whose voices are not as amplified as often as we would like to see. But what have you found in terms of the gap that lie with regards to women, particularly in our rural areas?
Okay, so the rural women, they face a struggle not only of being ostracized because of their gender, but they also face a class struggle. So in comparison maybe to the urban women, they are not so well developed. So our work as the movement, we try and make sure that they're not just a sector that exists in isolation, but they are at least given equal opportunities as every other woman out there.
Yeah, and also when we think about some of the challenges in rural areas, one would think about the digital divide. It's very easy for one to speak about artificial intelligence if you're living in more of the more established, advanced metro cities. But I wonder if, when we're speaking of such, progressive projects and initiatives and campaigns, do we consider them, and also are they included in some of those initiatives?
Unfortunately, not as well as they should be. The world right now is having discussions about fourth IR, and you do wonder what is the position of rural women in these discussions. They are often not factored in. So right now we are trying to develop them economically, but then they are getting disadvantaged because while we're doing that, the world is already moving forward in this direction, and there's nobody really who's come forth and say, I want to train women in this. So unfortunately, as far as technological improvements, they are not being included.
Yeah. And as far as your work is concerned, though, take me through how important is it then to ensure that they do attain socio-economic freedom, and how do you do that? How do you assist women out in our rural areas?
So we have two departments, the Department of Project Support, which identifies, capacitates and procures funds for these projects. So we have hardworking coordinators on the ground, and they literally go out in search of projects that have potential, self-started projects that is, and so we meet them halfway to see what is it that they've done, what is it that they are doing, and how can we best get them there. And then we operate within the sectors of construction, confectionery, agriculture. So economic empowerment for women is very important because as a nation, we are battling with GBV. And one of the things that come up is that when a woman is disempowered, then she's susceptible to staying in an abusive relationship. So we need to empower women so that we can, as a way of negating GBV. And also we empower women with the understanding that when you empower a woman, you're really not just empowering her, but it's a whole lot of people, because as we know, women are the caregivers. They bear the brunt for basic care. And with rural women, it's not just taking care of their nuclear families, but there's also extended families. It's the entire village through one rural woman.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. I mean, the saying, it takes a village to raise a child, comes from the back of rural women literally wanting to make sure that the communities are well taken care of. If your neighbor does not have food or one is sickly, they rally around each other and try and find solutions as a collective. And have you found that your interventions have been sustainable and they've been quite positively impacting rural women? I mean, what's been the feedback like when you engage with them?
So we have great projects that are doing great, exceptionally well. I'll make an example of Hot Oven Bake in Rustenburg. So they are in bakery, and with the intervention of the rural women, they've managed to diversify into skills development. So they're empowering other businesses or individuals that are interested in baking. They also do catering, and there's a demand for their product. And then there's another one, Masana Poultry in Entlanzeni in Mpumalanga. Masana Poultry produces 12,000 broilers every month. So and they are able to pay salaries, meet the minimum living wage, and they are able to employ other people. And in that cooperative, it's made up of young women and elderly women.
Wow. What do you think are some of the lessons we can take when we hear such success stories, Lebohang, moving forward in ensuring that when it comes to diversity, equality, inclusion and belonging, we do not forget rural women as we try and move this country forward? What are some of the lessons we think we can derive so that we don't take ourselves 10 years back, but we continue to move ahead with where the world is also moving in as far as technology is concerned, as we mentioned a bit earlier. But I'm surely there's some rich lessons we can learn here.
Yes. So right now, our nation is startled with the unemployment statistics. But you find that the rural communities actually presents a great opportunity to lessen what we are going through as a nation in terms of unemployment. So I think just looking into things that are less explored and talent, because rural people have got talents, raw talents that have not been exploited too much. So looking into what things that are not so popular and actually trying to make a living out of that. I'll make an example, a classic woman that we've seen. She's Dr. Esther Mahlangu. Now, that's a woman with a raw rural talent, and she's now on a global stage. So, so these are just some of the things that we can look into, focusing on rural women.
Absolutely. So many lessons we can learn there, Lebohang. And I mean, Dr. Esther Mahlangu being one exceptional example of a woman who has not even moved from her community, even after receiving that global, stardom and status, but still wants to go back to the same community and empower even other young women. So absolutely a lot of lessons to learn there. I appreciate you joining us right here on eNCA and also speaking about some of the work that you do. Lebohang Mafisa is, of course, the spokesperson for the National Movement of Rural Women. And they continue to commemorate Women's Month, but also saying it's important to equally assist these women in attaining socio-economic freedom.